welcome to Bookmas Day 4. I haven't really done a Q&A like this before. I've done Q&As in the past before I started booktube, but like no one really. I didn't really get any questions, so this is kind of my first actual Q&A. I haven't gone through all of them. I haven't even really read any. I just have seen the ones coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Thank you so much for anyone who asked a question. So grateful and kind of blown away, to be honest. For Bookmas Day 4, I really want you guys to get to know me better, I guess, but I also want to get to know you guys better, so please comment down below just a fun fact about you, maybe like where you're from, how old you are, your favorite hobby besides reading. I really want to get to know you guys as well. Okay, I have these questions. I'm just gonna pick a few of these questions, kind of just randomly go through and pick some. How did you and Ian meet? I love this question. I feel like I got a few questions asking like how Ian and I met, how I got a bookish husband, all of that. So I actually met Ian when I was 17 years old. I'm now 24. It's just so beautiful seeing how our relationship has grown over the years, because I really feel like every single day I just fall more and more in love with him, and he's amazing, and I've loved seeing the man that he's become over the years. And we've gone through some like hard times, of course, but we've gone through some amazing times as well. Basically how we met, this is kind of the condensed version. As I've kind of talked about before, I'm from Tennessee. Ian was living in Utah at the time, but Ian went on a 2-year mission to Tennessee, and that's how we met. We met through mutual friends. Ian and I actually met at IHOP on National Pancake Day, and I was going there with a couple of my friends, and they were like, hey, I have some friends, could they tag along? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And one of those guys ended up being Ian, and Ian and I actually did not talk the entire time. Like, the only thing he asked me was, how do you think you pronounce my last name? And then I tried to pronounce it, and then I got it wrong, of course, but now it's my last name too, which is really cool. Yeah, that's the only thing we said to each other. I would go out to eat with my friends for lunch, and they would just like show up sometimes. We just started getting to know each other. We just started texting. Really want to tell the story with Ian. I think it'd be cool to get his perspective, because it was definitely hard for us to like communicate. And then after he served a mission, he came back to Utah, and then he went to Tennessee. We did long distance for like months and months. I think actually it was like for a year. Once I graduated high school, he was like, I'm sick of the distance. I was sick of the distance. Then once he moved back out to Tennessee, it was really nice because we really started our relationship. Then we decided to move out to Utah. We got married, and it was just amazing. So that is how Ian and I met. There's so much more to the story, but I feel like that'd have to be a video in itself. I am so grateful that our paths crossed, and it was definitely divine. So I praise the Lord that we met. I love him so much. If you could never reread a book again except for one, which book would it be? That is so hard. This might sound a little weird, but a part of me wants to say Golden Sun, Morning Star, or Mist and Fury, or A Court of Wings and Ruin. I loved those books so much. Oh man, that is really hard. Wait, but then Harry Potter. Honestly, this might sound really dumb, but I'm kind of leaning towards Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I love that book so much. It has so much material, so I would get the most out of it. Oh, favorite book quote. This is such a hard question because there are tons of quotes that I love from, especially like ACOTAR. That is a beautifully written book. But I think the book that's the most quotable for me is The Story Life of A.J. Thickery. It is so beautiful, and there's so many amazing quotes. Like, I could read you 100, but I'm just gonna pick a couple from this book alone that I absolutely love. and it's so bookish. Like there's so many quotes in here about readers that it just resonates so well. Here's just a few of my favorite quotes from The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry. A question I've thought about a great deal is why it is so much easier to write about the things we dislike, hate, acknowledge to be flawed than the things we love. And this one is like my favorite quote from the book. When I read a book, I want you to be reading it at the same time. I want to know, what would Amelia think of it? I want you to be mine. I can promise you books and conversation in all my heart, Amy. A place is not really a place without a bookstore. I guess they're not super profound, but they're just really cute and bookish, and I love it. There's so many quotes from Akatar that I love too. Do you think Draco deserves redemption in the Harry Potter books and movies, and why? Okay, personally, I feel like Draco was a little bit redeemed at the end. Like, I know it's super open-ended, especially the last movie, how he kind of walks away with his family. This is just my personal opinion. There's a lot of things that he does that you can just tell the kid has a ton of pressure on him. A lot of the things he doesn't want to do. It's more of like he has an obligation to do it. I was happy with how it ended, because the whole time I really did feel really bad for him. I think it would have been cool if he had this epic heroic scene towards the end of the series. I didn't mind how it ended. Pretty sure in the books his family is there with everyone else after the whole battle with Voldemort, and I liked that, but I think they're still kind of a little bit further away from everyone, that they were a little bit isolated, which totally made sense to me. I mean, they were Death Eaters, and like same with his mom. I feel like you can just tell that she was so uncomfortable being a Death Eater, but they're kind of wrapped up in it. Lucius, don't even get me started on him. He's a coward. Personally, I feel happy with how things ended off with Draco and the Malfoys, but I do feel like it would have been cool to see him do something heroic. Best book you've read this year and the worst book. So as of right now, I think the best book I have read this year is Red Rising. Hands down, amazing. I'm in love with that series, and I still have like many books to read of the series. Pierce Brown, he has such a beautiful prose, but it's very intellectual and profound, and so as the series goes on, the books get thicker. And I'm a little bit nervous hopping into Iron Gold because it is so thick, and it takes me a while to read his books. So worst book I've read this year is, what is it called? Things We Never Got Over. That was my least favorite book that I read this year. I think it's the grumpy sunshine trope that just gets me. Like, either I love it or I hate it. I DNF'd Things We Never Got Over because I could not stand Knox. I thought he was insufferable. Do you and your husband plan on having kids? Love you guys so much. We love you too so much. I got a few other questions asking if Ian and I are planning on having kids. Yeah, are you guys thinking of having kids? No pressure, just curious, and think you'd both be amazing parents. Thank you so much. That is so sweet of you to say. Ian and I definitely want kids. It's always been in the plans. Now, me being 24 and Ian's 27, it's funny because this is kind of the ages that we imagined having our first kid. Now that we're here, it feels really intimidating and a little bit scary. We're just not ready. Not saying that it wouldn't happen like accidentally. Regardless, it would be such a blessing. But yes, we definitely want kids. Favorite place to read? I love reading on our couch. We just got a couch, and it's a sectional, and I actually bought it from my friend Caitlin. Shout out Caitlin, I love you so much. So cozy. And I also love reading in coffee shops. Could you recommend a thriller book, a fantasy book, and a romance book? P.S. I love your videos. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love you. Okay, I love this question. This is so fun and so cool. So for a thriller book, I think I would recommend The Housemaid's Secret, but you would have to read The Housemaid first. I really like those two books. I also feel like it's great getting into thrillers, and it's an easy one to get into. And then if you already read thrillers, 100% recommend Dark Matter. It's amazing, so good, so thrilling, so dark, so suspenseful, so twisted, so good. For a fantasy book, I might be jumping the gun, but I'm reading A Dawn of Onyx right now. It is really really good. I feel like I haven't heard that much about it. It kind of deserves some more hype. It kind of gives you like the ACOTAR romance fantasy vibes. And a romance book, dude, I loved The 7-Year Slip. It was so good. That's a fun romance book. Also, anything by Ali Hazelwood. Well, I've only read 2 things by her, but I just got her new book, Check and Mate, and I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure it's great. The Love Hypothesis, that book has such a special place in my heart. Favorite fantasy book of all time? ACOTAR. Do you have an Amazon wish list? And also someone said, do you have a PO box that we can send gifts to? That is so sweet. Thank you so much. I do have an Amazon wish list. It's in the description box. I think it says Amazon wish list and then there's a link there. As far as a PO box, I'm thinking about getting a PO box. Sometimes people ask me if they can send me something. I don't have a PO box right now, but I'm thinking about it. I love this question so much. How did you get into reading and what was the first genre you read? So the first genre I read was young adult. That's what got me back into reading. I actually read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is just general fiction, and then The Hazelwood, which is young adult. I don't really know how it's considered young adult. I think just because the main character is a teenager. Other than that, it has some pretty mature content. There's no spice though. There's not even really romance that much. It just feels so much more mature and it kind of feels like grimdark, to be honest. It feels very grim. But the first half of that question, how did you get into reading? So I got into reading last fall, actually. It was around the time that my grandfather and my grandmother both passed away within like a month of each other. Ian, he has been reading fiction for a couple of years, and so he would read all the time, like in our spare time, and then I really wanted to pick up a book as well. Like, you know, you just kind of get that itch. I went to BookTok before I even knew that it was called BookTok. Found a book called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It sounded really good. It was kind of like a time travel, general fiction. I would say the main point of the first book is that everything we say and do has some kind of outcome. And sometimes there are consequences for the things we say and do. While we can't change the past, we can move forward and try to heal from it and ask for forgiveness. That, oh my gosh, that book like wrecked me. It made me absolutely sob. It was such a quick read for me, and I think that was really the first book that I ever binged. Like, I read so quickly. After that, I read The Hazelwood. Loved The Hazelwood so much. I read The Night Country, which is the second book, and then I got into ACOTAR, and I didn't know what it was about. The only thing I had heard was that it was similar to a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I love Beauty and the Beast, and Ian told me about it, so I picked it up. And I read it in a day. It was so good, and that was a lot for me. Like, reading one book in a day was unheard of. I was not an avid reader whatsoever. I've been a reader ever since. What is the one book you always recommend for people to read? Red Rising, for sure. I would say I recommend Red Rising the most. I love that book with all of my heart. I've gotten a couple of Taylor Swift questions, like what's my favorite Taylor Swift album, my top 5 Taylor Swift songs. I actually just got my guitar back. My parents brought it from Tennessee. I started playing guitar when I think I was 13 years old. My first music book was the Taylor Swift debut album. I loved Taylor Swift growing up. I actually didn't listen to Taylor Swift for a really long time, and I just started getting into her songs again, like as of this summer, and I'm really loving going back and listening to all of the albums I've missed over the years. So my favorite albums that I really love, first of all, 1989. It is so good, Taylor's version, of course. And I've never been to New York City, so every time I listen to Welcome to New York, I'm like, oh, yes, New York City, like going there for the first time. I'm literally gonna play that when I get off the plane. I really like Folklore. Lover, I really liked when I first started getting into Taylor Swift again. And then I would say the Taylor Swift songs I play the most is welcome to New York. New romantics, clean, now that we don't talk, say don't go, is it over now, the one, cardigan, mirror ball, August, invisible string. Those are all the ones that I've been listening to recently, like on repeat. I got a lot of questions about how to start a YouTube channel, specifically a booktube channel. And I love this question. First of all, just start. It's so intimidating at first. It can be a little awkward, but please do it. I will be your #1 cheerleader. Tag me in your videos. I will go watch them. YouTube has changed my life. The community of readers that you get introduced to, the friendships that you make, it's amazing. It's changed my life. That alone is so worth it. Like, just start. You don't have a camera? That's okay. Start with your phone. Couldn't afford Final Cut Pro when I first started, so I just did iMovie on my phone. It's free. Just the basics, it'll just get you started. I would recommend a niche, and I know people say that all the time, like find a niche, find a niche. If you want to start a booktube channel, I would recommend starting, just talk about your favorite books. Talk about your favorite books that you've read this year. Even just starting small, introducing yourself. Talk about what you read for the week. I would just recommend starting off doing it for you and make it fun. Don't put pressure on yourself. I love this question. Someone said, hi friend, you're my new favorite booktuber. I love you. I love you too. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. What made you move from Tennessee? I moved from Tennessee mid-college. I honestly just hit like a really low. It was kind of a difficult season. There was just a lot going on. I needed to change when I was like 5 years old. I told my parents I'm gonna live in Paris when I'm older. That's just always been me. I've just always been a wanderer. I just wanted to do YouTube videos so bad. And when I went to college, it wasn't like what it is today. Like now there's so many courses you can take, but when I told my counselor I wanted to be a video editor, the only school that really had that was really far away from me. And so it wasn't just something that was offered. So I went to communications, but it wasn't what I wanted to do, and I felt like I was wasting my time. I would literally drive to school, I would bawl my eyes out. Like, guys, it was just it was a rough time for me, but I needed something different. And so I came out to visit Utah with Ian while we were dating, and I fell in love with the mountains, and Ian and I really have a heart for the people here. We are just really involved in our church here, and there's a lot of outreach that we love to be a part of here in Utah. We really do feel led and drawn out here. Not to say that we won't be led somewhere else one day. I love Tennessee. It's gorgeous there. My family's there. Like, I love Tennessee. I have a lot of questions asking what I do for a living. Someone said, so happy to see how far you and Ian have come. What do you guys do for a living now? Thank you so much. So Ian actually does commercial survey for signs and awnings. So he'll do surveys for like Chick-fil-A, like the Chick-fil-A signs. He'll do that. Or even just big corporations. He'll also do surveys for like stadiums, basketball stadiums, soccer stadiums, like the Jazz, Utah Jazz Stadium. That's the NBA. He has done stuff in that arena. It's just really cool what he does. These past few months, things have changed so much for us, and so now YouTube is how I make my living, and from brand deals, it's so cool that I can do this now. Like, that's so crazy to say. Whenever I first quit my job to do this, I got a lot of interesting feedback. But then I got also a lot of positive feedback, and it's just because of the Lord. He has just blessed this endeavor so much. So grateful, and I'm so grateful for you guys. And Ian has been my #1 support the whole time. Like, even when I was filming my lifestyle videos in college, he was pushing me the whole time, like, you can do this. A lot of friends and family have been very supportive as well. If you could live in any book universe, which universe would you pick? Easily, ACOTAR. It's so beautiful. It's perfect. Like, Valaris, I'll move there right now. One question is, any book recommendations for Christians? Will there be any content about faith? Absolutely. I definitely want to do a book recommendations for Christians, or like my favorite theology or Christian living books. I still am working on that list. Like, there are a lot of books that I still want to read that I've heard are really, really good. That one, I can't promise when I'll film it. I love A.W. Tozier. I love C.S. Lewis. I think one of my favorites is the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, or just any of his books. What do you like about Ian, in your opinion? Mine has to be his smile and his laughter on his videos. That is so sweet. I love his smile and I love his laughter too. Ooh, this is so hard because there's like a million things. He's just such an amazing husband. He treats me with gentleness and kindness and love and encouragement. My favorite thing about him though, just his relationship with the Lord, because with that it gives him all of these attributes that I love about him. Do you have any hobbies besides reading? Yes, I have some fun hobbies. I love to knit and crochet, mainly crochet. Not as much knitting. I also love working out. I don't know if that's a strange hobby. I love music. I love playing guitar. I love singing. Not a question, but love yours and Ian's videos. Thank you so much. We love you so much and we appreciate that. What is something that strengthens your faith in God? I love this question. Definitely getting in the Word. Just want to know more about the God that I love and know and serve. That definitely strengthens my relationship with God, is getting in His Word and learning more about Him. Do you like spice in books or not? I don't like spice in my books. Most of the time I kind of go into it knowing that there's going to be probably some spice in there. I just skip it, but sometimes if it's really prevalent in the book, that can make the rating go down for me. And I search Goodreads because I'm like, if this is going to be mainly spice, I know I'm not gonna like it. Yeah, so I'm not a spice girly, no. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. I'm sorry, I did not even get to go through like most of them. I'm so sorry. We might have to do a part 2. I can't believe anyone even asked any questions. That's amazing. So thank you guys so much. I love you with all of my heart. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. The fact that anyone even watches my videos is still beyond me. And don't forget to comment down below a fun fact about you. I love you guys so much and I will see you tomorrow. Bye guys.